Okay. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce our guest speaker, Rev Kathleen Hellenberg. When I first came to Center of Enlightenment, people would talk about her as the minister who lived down the street. And she and her husband Gregory would attend here occasionally, and she would guest speak. And then at some point, Reverend Kathleen and Gregory became part of the Center of Enlightenment congregation, which I've been eternally grateful for, because over the years we've become friends and co-workers on different projects. It's been my pleasure to host her as a speaker, to get to know her and her family, and especially Gregory. We all miss him, those of us that have known him. Reverend Kathleen Hellenberg is an ordained minister of the beloved community. She was ordained by James Twyman. What year was that? Do you remember?
I think maybe 2005.
2005. And of course, it is a true blessing for us that she's now part of Center of Enlightenment and shares her knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment with all of us. So please help me welcome Reverend Kathleen Hellenberg.
Thank you, Reverend Carol.
You're welcome, dear.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
John Fullerton, former managing director at J.P. Morgan, current impact investor, and founder of the Capital Institute, said in a documentary entitled Going Circular, quote, "We've designed our society around an economic system that values money. There is no place for love. There is no place for beauty. There is no place for goodness. We live as if we're separate from the planet, separate from each other, and separate from nature." End quote. My talk this morning is about the importance of connection, how it supports our health, well-being, and development, and how the lack of it harms us. In the 13 years I have worked at the Ferndale Library, I have witnessed countless interactions between parents and their children. And in all that time, there were only 3 mothers who were so present to their children, they stood out like shining stars. And it made me wish I'd had a mother like them. One of these mothers is the wife of the library's former director. This young man started working there a year or so after I did. He worked his way up the ranks to become the director not too long ago. During the time he worked there, he got married, and about 5 years ago, he and his wife had a baby girl. When I saw photos of her, I was amazed at how much vitality and vibrance shone through her. About 19 months ago, the couple had a baby boy. His mother brought him to the library on the first day of this past school year after taking their daughter to start kindergarten. As I pushed my cart near where father, mother, and son were standing, the director greeted me and introduced me to Arlo, his son, who he was holding in his arms. I smiled at him and I said, "Hi, Arlo." And Arlo stared at me for a good, long time. And then suddenly he went, It was the most joyful meeting I have ever had with a child. Well, his dad took Arlo into the area for employees only. His mom introduced herself to me, and we had a wonderful chat. She expressed how lucky she felt to be able to stay at home with their children. When Arlo and his dad came back, I went on to start my work. Later that morning, while I was working in the children's area, I heard some delightful laughter. And as I neared the play area, I saw Arlo and his mom just hanging out, enjoying each other's company, laughing and having fun together. I looked forward to seeing and hearing them again in the near future, but soon after this, the family moved away. The joy that Arlo so freely expressed came from the healthy parenting he received, the connection he felt with his parents, and the acceptance and appreciation he felt from them, and the atmosphere of safety they provided. A great number of us were not so lucky. I can't tell you how many parents and caretakers I witness pay little to no attention to the children they bring to the library. Instead, they spend time visiting with other adults there, on the computer, on their phones, even when the children desperately try to gain their attention. Separation from the primary caregiver, including being emotionally unavailable, causes alarm for infants. If this happens often enough over a period of time without intervention, the child suffers trauma that usually goes unrecognized and therefore untreated. The part of the brain that undergoes critical development in early infancy and childhood is the same part of the brain that is critically shaped by the quality of attachment between infants and their primary caregivers, which enables the brain to function properly. I recently finished reading the book Scared Sick: The Role of Childhood Trauma in Adult Disease by Robin Carr Morse and Meredith S. Wiley. The two women also co-authored the book Ghosts from the Nursery, Tracing the Roots of Violence. In Scared Sick, they show how chronic fear experienced in infancy and early childhood lies at the root of numerous diseases, as well as emotional and behavioral pathologies in adults. This may set the course of our health for the rest of our lives. They show that our automatic protective responses to acute life-threatening events can become an agent of chronic illness and even death if it's overworked in the early stages of life. Provoked by conflict and trauma, the chemistry of fear takes its toll on our organs and regulatory systems throughout our development, only to strike when we are fully grown. Rudolf Steiner, a clairvoyant and founder of anthroposophy, also known as spiritual science, shared the information that when a child is born, it is protected by an etheric sheath. And this sheath is meant to last until the child reaches the age of reason, usually around age 7. But in the most extreme case, If a parent dies, especially before the child is old enough to not need it, this sheath is ripped away and the protection is lost forever. Recent studies have uncovered the fact that children who feel securely attached enjoy a protective impact on their mental, emotional, and physical health and well-being that lasts their whole lives through. We all need this same quality of attachment for our spiritual growth and development. We need to have an atmosphere of safety in order to trust that the world is a good place. When we are in an atmosphere of safety, we are able to connect with ourselves. We are able to connect with others. We are able to connect with spirit. And we are able to expand because we feel the safety to fully express our true nature. This enables us to be healthy on all levels of our being, to trust our world, and to develop and thrive. A book recently caught my attention at the library entitled Big Feelings: How to Be Okay When Things Are Not Okay, by Liz Fossline and Molly West Duffy. I flipped through it and landed on a page with 4 little drawings of a flower as it grew and blossomed. And with each drawing was one of the following lines: by opening up bit by bit around someone you trust, you can learn to show the world how amazing your true self is. So, what can be done to heal from early conflict and trauma? Because early childhood trauma takes place before a child learns how to speak. Forms other than talk therapy are best equipped to heal this, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, eye movement desensitization and reintegration, emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping, and a technique new to me called brain spotting, which can stimulate a deep healing process within the brain itself. I won't go into how these therapies work, but a sheet with information and sources used in my talk will be available after the service. There are a few things that we can do ourselves to tone down the intensity of fear and trauma that interferes with our connection to spirit. There are numerous other ones than one I'm going to mention, but these are real simple and easy to do. And the first one I learned from Donna Eden and her husband, David Feinstein, PhD. It reduces fear, soothes the body, and steadies the mind. So I'll show you how to do it. If you put your hands like this, beneath the knuckles, moving up to your wrist, if you put your finger in between the bone that you feel from your little finger and your ring finger, and you just lightly tap that area. And it's suggested that you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth as you do that. And you might feel some soreness more on one side than the other. If you do, then don't hit it so hard. Like that.
After it hurts when I do this.
Yeah, stop doing that.
that.
So, and then, do your other hand. And I recently needed to use this technique very, very much. And I can't say that I felt like, oh, now I don't feel afraid anymore. But what I did notice was something's moving. The energy is different. And then a little while later, it was like the stress level had been up here and it just slowly melted away. I could just feel it go down. So that's one thing to do. The other one is an Oriental method. Certain emotions are connected to specific fingers, and fear is connected to the pointer fingers or index fingers. And so what you do for this is you take all the fingers, including your thumb of one hand, and you wrap it around that index finger, and then just relax your hands. And hold that as long as you feel you need to or want to. And then when you're done on that side, you can do it on the other side. Sometimes you are writing or doing some kind of work or something like that, and you can't sit there like that for a long time, as long as you might need to. So another really easy thing to do is to just touch the tips of your thumb and your forefinger together. And you can do those both at the same time. And that also brings the stress level down and relieves the fear. And that doesn't eliminate it from your life forever, but it helps you get through, times of intense stress. And one other thing to do for stress is to take your thumb and put it in the middle of your palm and press that for a while. And remember to breathe while you're doing it. It helps to kind of, bring it in and help relieve that stress. So I'm going to end with something that I have used as a prayer at the start of choir practice. And it's written by Mona Delfino, and it's entitled, I Surrender. From this moment forward, I surrender my being from all past subconscious conditioning. I release and consciously unfold the truth within my heart. I give thanks for the experiences in my life that have taught me to become wiser, whole, and complete. As I do this, I know I am opening up and allowing Spirit to work freely in me, connecting me back to total truth and expansion. So be it. Thank you.